A next option might be just, what if you just have this gorgeous wreath that you want to make sure and use? So you're not sure exactly how to use it. Maybe it's too heavy to hang or something like that. If it's this big, you're probably going to need a very large table or a coffee table to put it on, entry room table, whatever. But you know, whatever you have, you should definitely use. We're going to build a structure underneath to support our candles and to make sure also that they don't get wax on anything. Typically, I don't have them with me, but typically I would probably put little saucers or something like that underneath these and a wreath this large, just to make sure that we don't get any wax residual on our table or tablecloth. Like that. I just don't have 4 of them. So.
Okay.
So shall we? We want to build up a little height here in the middle.
And then we got some pretty fabric that we're going to use to kind of camouflage the innards of the wreath.
We'll just puddle that inside, and I'm not going to take the time to make it super artsy, but we just want to make sure that when we look down in there, you can't see the mechanics of what's supporting everything, but also make sure that it's flat enough that it'll support your...
And all the things too, this is there to cover all the things that are keeping your table nice and safe as well.
That's right.
So we're putting our little central Christ candle in there. We have 2 a little bit shorter candles that we're putting in the front, just because it makes it a little bit nicer to look at, and it kind of cascades the candles from tall in the back to shorter in the front. That might not be as necessary at home, but just so you are aware. All right, so there we are, there we have it.
Wreath number 2, a little bit more decorative. You could certainly tuck things like this into your smaller evergreen wreath, but we're all set to go with something that's just a little bit larger, a little bit grander with much larger candles. Doesn't need to be that spread out. They could certainly be closer together if that's what strikes your fancy, but whatever works for your space would be great.
Yeah.
So,
then we're going to move over to a little bit different option.
Something less traditional. Maybe you don't like evergreen. Maybe you're allergic to it. I kind of like the smell of it. So
yeah,
anyway,
me too,
it's kind of fun. So this basically is, where did we get this, Andrea?
Just a cheap little, it looks like old time pottery.
Mm-hmm.
$1.99.
Little, it's plastic. So anyway, and then here's just a plain red wreath that I used to hang on my door. And then what do you think we ought to do with this one, Andrea?
I think we're going to use these little votives that we used as platforms over on the first wreath. Remember, we turned those upside down, but we'll use these actually for all of our candles inside. So, and they might not sit straight, but that's okay because we have battery powered candles in there. So you can use any kind of candle that you have at home, whether that's these little battery powered guys, or maybe you have actual flame candles that you want to use. Whatever is most accessible and easy to get from home is what we would recommend you trying to get. So this here is one option that's a little bit less traditional and just using the things that you might have around the house.
Also, if you have small children at home, this might be a good option because then you don't have to worry about them touching them, burning themselves, or getting hot wax on things. So anyway, just a thought. All right.
Okay.
Next, let's say, for instance, you just really don't have much in the way of craft supplies. Maybe you've just got a few of these little kind of candles and, you know, really not much else. So just grab any little saucer, just a simple little saucer. If you have something like this, great. If you don't, you can grab the greenery from outside, or boxwood. Boxwood is so beautiful. If you know any place that has a boxwood bush, you could certainly do some trimmings from that. And then, Andrea, what would you do in there?
Well, so we just found these little candles in the back room. If you have these little tiny guys around, that's great. If not, and you have little votives, that's also great. We thought, well, why don't we figure out a way to use these in just what might be around the house? So because we have a smaller candle than the holder itself, which is kind of a challenge, we kind of did a little hack here. We're going to take a Kleenex and basically wrap it around the bottom of our candle because we're just making a nice little buffer. So when we put it in this could be, I guess, considered like a candle holder or just a little vase of some kind. But this way, when you put the Kleenex in there, it keeps it nice and central so it's not going to topple over.
It's also a fire hazard, so watch your candles closely. You don't want to be like the Wreaths, right? Okay. So,
and then with our little tiny boxwood wreath that we made here from the trimmings outside, we can put our little candles around the outside and then the central Christ candle in the center.
absolutely. You can also trade that out. Have something that looks like this that's really not very traditional. You may want to, if you have some cloths or something that go with the color of wherever your worship center is for this month of Advent, you may want to use those, tuck those in. Another option
Is actually to take these guys, if you don't have enough to do that, and you have a few of these little battery powered
that's right.
ones, you can just set those, because they're not going to hurt anything by sitting right on top of the wreath there. You can have those battery powered ones just sitting straight on top, as long as they don't get all wonky.
We can do that.
Yeah.
And then if you're really wanting to go non-traditional, this is a Tahitian headdress, which I bought at World Conference, and I do love it. It's one of my very favorite things in the whole world. So anyway, if you wanted to do something that was to honor folks in other parts of the world, you could create something. I'm just doing this on the fly. You get the idea, though. You can do something that is very non-traditional. You just need your 4 candles on the exterior around the Christ candle in the center, the Christ candle being elevated. So, you know, maybe you have some wonderful sacred artifacts from a traveling trip or something like that that you want to use. Get these things out, enjoy them this Advent season, and make them part of your sacred tradition.
Indeed. And I'm sure maybe some of you also have just these traditional taper candles at home. If so, and you have maybe a taper candle holder, these also work very nicely, of course, in with a wreath to make a more traditional Advent wreath as well.
Also, a super easy way to do this is to take just a plain old charger. This happens to be a metal charger, and you can, I brought a pink candle and a red candle just to show you ideas that you can use. But yeah, so here are some other options that we'll just put right here. I would tuck some greenery probably around this, and then use my other candles to create. Here, you get the idea. But it doesn't have to be anything major. It just has to be something that speaks to your spirit and your heart, and makes you happy when you light those candles during Advent.
Yeah.
Remember those wonderful family stories that you have, and hopefully you'll make some more wonderful family stories around your Advent calendar that
are hopefully very safe.
Yes, and they don't include fire. So enjoy your Advent. We love you, we miss you,
Yeah,
we look forward to seeing you very soon.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.